Hello, Devlin Bishop here with you, and welcome to Devlin's Pirate Radio Show. Brand new episode, and I'm excited for it. I get to talk for an hour, or whatever, how long I talk for. Thank you for joining me and pressing play. It actually means so much to me that you're taking some time. I wish I knew how many people actually listen to this show, because sometimes I think, like, maybe Corda's the only one who listens to this because she has to produce it, so she has to. Don't get me wrong, even if she didn't produce it, I think she would definitely listen to it. And sometimes I don't think people listen to it, and then I get some comments, like super fan Jen. She told me she was behind in them, but she started listening to them again because she's starting to comment on YouTube again, and it's nice. I like when they do that, because then I know who's listening, because sometimes I don't think anyone's listening. I always joke about my 17 fans that I'm trying to win back. But the truth of the fact is sometimes I bump into people and then they'll quote something from an episode I did, and I'm like, oh, they must have actually listened to it. And I don't care if people listen to the whole podcast or even just segments, that's why we kind of write what's coming up in it, because, we want you to, like, pick stuff that you want to. But thank you if you did take the chance today, and I hope I entertain you and stuff like that. We're going to talk a little bit about something I got to do. We're going to kick things off with something I got to do recently, which was kind of a kick, and I wanted to talk about it because whenever I do something different, I like to talk about it and give it a heads up. I guess I should have done my homework, though, because I was thinking, I don't know if I actually remember the name of the place that it was, but it was an adventure that my friend Damien wanted to do, and he wanted to try it with me. I want to say it's called Ctrl-V, like Ctrl-V, but I might be wrong. But basically, it's a virtual reality gaming facility. It opened up in my neighborhood, and it finally opened, and Damien's been wanting to try this, so we actually went to it, and I wanted to tell you my experience, because it was kind of fun. First of all, if you see the picture of Damien and I on the cover, I apologize for all the people who, thought Damien was actually on this show. But that's actually, since I was talking about an adventure I had with Damien, I decided to use it also for a way to a cheap plug to promote that our next season of Damien and Devlin's show is going to be starting up in the first week of February. And we are modeling some new shirts that we picked up over the holidays. I had them made for us, and we are using it to just promote it, but I thought, hey, that makes a nice picture. But unfortunately, he's not a co-host today, so I apologized for all the Damien fans who pressed play. We are going to try to get him on the show very soon again. He's been on the show a couple times, and it's always a lot of fun when he is. But, I'd like to have him come on and talk about our experiences with the Damien and Devlin show, maybe talk some movies and stuff, too. But anyhow, so I'm quick apology that he isn't on the show. We just put him on the cover because he's cuter than me. I will give him that. And we wanted to promote that. But anyhow, so Damien and I went to this virtual reality place, and I apologize. I'll try to put the link in the bio so that you can, if you want to check out the virtual reality place. Now, Damien's never done virtual reality, so he was excited, and he was actually surprised that I actually have done a little bit of virtual reality, some early stuff. I always forget what it was called. But in Oakville, they used to have a place called, I think it was Palladium. I think it's Oakville. I don't know. But anyhow, I remember my brother and my sister-in-law at the time and my friend Dave, we all went to it. And it had like video games and pinball, and they actually had virtual reality. And when nobody was looking, we all split up. And I was so interested in virtual reality at the time. We're going back to probably the late 90s, maybe. Yeah, I think it might be that far back. And they had these simulators, and I chose one that was like a post-apocalyptic Sorry, I have to laugh at that one for a bit. That was a real weird slip of the tongue. A post-apocalyptic world, and I was in a hang glider going through this city. And I kept looking at these and I wanted to do it, but I didn't want anyone to be around to see me because I had a feeling I'd be screaming a lot or acting silly. So I went onto this thing and they basically, like, literally at that point laid you down like you were in an actual simulator. And it was kind of fun, you know, you just go and I basically smashed into walls a lot. My video game thing, I haven't played video games in a long time. I was never particularly good at them. I always enjoyed them. I just was never particularly good at them. So I never got caught up in the bandwagon. And I'm talking about when I played them, we're talking in television back in the 80s when, you know, you'd be playing, you know, Pac-Man and Donkey Kong and Frogger and stuff like that. And so, you know, when I play this virtual reality thing, it was just basically me and this hang glider banging into buildings. A couple of times I'd free fall. And I actually and I didn't get sick. Now, I was surprised that I didn't. First of all, I'm afraid of heights. So I never thought of that when I went into this, that I'd actually feel like it was. So when I started flying, I was a little bit creeped. But somehow my mind told me also that, okay, you're not really, you're just laying like you're in a hang glider, but you're on a stool. But a couple of times when it got chaotic, I actually got lost in the world. And so I free-falled a lot. That's all I did. But I'm glad I did it, and it was cool. And, you know, now that I see that, you know, virtual reality is heading towards the future, I'm not sure I'm as big on it than I was back then. Because when you get older, you're just kind of like, why are we living in a virtual reality world when people are barely living in the world that they are in now? You know, like there's like stuff like Work Simulator. Well, go to work. That's the greatest simulator you can find, you know, like you're basically going to work. So anyhow, we went to this place, and as I said, I think it's like called Ctrl-V, Ctrl-V, I don't know, something like that. As I said, we'll try to put the link in the bio, because it was a positive experience. It's a little pricey, but you got to expect that. Basically, you go in for an hour, and you put this headset on. Now, we decided to split an hour because you can actually split it. And I thought, basically, I'm just going to let Damien do most of the hour. I'll pay for my half, and I'll do it a little bit. He was really looking forward to seeing me do it because he thought it would be a little crazy and that. I let him go first, and he tried about 4 games in his half hour, and he tried some zombie stuff, and it was fun watching him do it, you know, him trying to figure out what he was doing. And he was really quick to get a lot of the games. Sometimes he didn't understand them, but he was always pretty good at grabbing stuff. And I was really getting worried when I saw him because I know, you know, he does this. He plays video games all the time. And I thought, yeah, this is not going to be for me at all. I decided to try to concentrate on one game. And when I did, I'm glad I found the game that I did. It was a snow fort kind of thing. You build snow forts, and then eventually you shoot snowballs at snowmen. And I decided I'm going to concentrate on one game and one game alone, because if I'm going to get any excitement out of this. And I actually had a lot of fun with it, and I was actually starting to get pretty good at it. And I think I made Damien laugh a lot because of the fact that I just get into it. Like, I was just dripping with sweat. Because, you know, I'm not exactly a skinny man, and I'm also not somebody who does a lot of, you know, physical fitness and stuff. So I was starting to whip these snowballs, and so basically, keep in mind, you're seeing this world. You know, I'm in a snow world, but I'm literally in just a little boxed area. And I've literally just got this big headset on, which I have to say, they do have these headsets that supposedly fit over glasses, but I found that they were really tight over my glasses and they kept slipping off, and it actually hurt. So I don't know if I have to just position the helmet better, or I just found wearing the glasses was very hurt, but I'd be blind if I didn't. So it was a lot of fun. I was in this box, and like Damien sat on a chair, he could watch me, and basically he watched me just build up a sweat, and he couldn't believe how like I was up and down. Like Damien was very cautious when he was in his box. He was just kind of like, reaching out for things and stuff. And then basically what happened was he, you know, he'd pick up stuff and point at things and stuff. It's really weird when you're sitting in a chair, though, and he's in virtual reality, so he doesn't even see you. But it's kind of weird when they're, like, doing gun things, and they're pointing right at you. And it's like, okay, I feel a little creepy right now, but it was cool. But he had a laugh. With me, like, he stayed up most of the time, but with me, I had to stay behind the snow fort. I had to build the snow fort. I had to throw snowballs, so every once in a while I was, like, ducking and stuff. And I think he got a kick, because I'm like the old man in this scenario, and I was up on one leg, I was down on my knees, I was just jumping around, avoiding the snowman whipping snowballs at me, and I was doing actually pretty good, because I just stayed with it. Then, at about 20 minutes in, I was just, like, winded, and I loved it. I probably could have played it more after a bit of a break, but I decided to let him try the snow fort, and it was a fun experience. As I said, it's one of those things, if you play, like, when you first go in, basically you pay your money, but you have to figure out the games, and, they give you a tutorial before you go in to learn all the stuff you do, but you still have to learn the games while you're in there, so that's like counting your clock down too. Now they probably have like if you go in with family and kids and stuff, they probably have better prices if you're staying in there long, or if you have a big group or something. But it was my first experience. I say it was kind of positive. Now, I couldn't afford to do it all the time, but I do hope that Damien and I do try it again, because it was a lot of fun, and maybe next time we'll both get an hour and then just kind of play in a game together, because we were just playing, one by ourselves and stuff like that, because we just wanted to see what it was like. But I would do it again. It was basically the same price as a night out at the movies, maybe a little cheaper, depending on what you buy at the movies. But yeah, it's brand new. It's in the Stony Creek area. As I said, we'll try to find the link and put it down there. But it was a lot of fun, and it's definitely worth giving it a try. I know a couple people I talked to that also went to it recently said that they were mixed on it, like, because it was hard to figure out what game you wanted to play, and by the time you got into the game, it was almost over, or you couldn't figure it out, and they said that was kind of a problem that they found was, and I could see that. Luckily with me, like when I saw Damien, he tried a couple of different games. He could never really get into them. Like he played them for a little bit, and then he tried another game, and that I just decided I'm going to find one game and thing, and luckily I found the snow fort, because it was just making snowballs and throwing them, which it was actually easier than if I tried one of the big zombie games, but I knew I wasn't ready for that. I was way in over my head. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm still a little leery on the whole virtual reality. I think it's fun, but my conspiracy theory side goes to the fact that, people don't even participate in life anymore. They go to work, and then they go home, and then they binge watch TV, and they don't even go out places anymore. And, if they start buying virtual headsets, they won't have to go anywhere. Pretty soon, you'll be able to go to futuristic worlds. You'll be able to go to, things. And I know they say, well, yeah, but you'll be socializing because you'll be talking to people that you're playing the game with and stuff like that. And yes, in some ways it is social, but let's be absolutely honest with you. It's not as social as sitting on a couch, two people having a nice talk, or going out to dinner, or going for a walk, or enjoying a movie and then going out afterwards and talking about it. It's not the same. Yes, there is a social value of it, but the human contact, where, you're giving people hugs, or even just touching their hands as you talk or something, that is a big part of the social thing. So, yeah, my conspiracy side says that people are just going to use this as another excuse. I think Netflix and all these streaming sites are already an excuse for people not to connect with people. And, it's got some positives, it's got some negatives, but yeah, if you are looking for something a little different, as I said, I talked to a few people that had some negative experiences with it, but I think they all agreed that if you go to it regularly and you actually start enjoying it, then you can pretty much get your games that you like, and they have new games all the time. But it's actually a pretty smart premise because you pay for your hour and then you're running down the clock learning the game. But, you still get a solid hour in there. So, and they had stamp cards that if you go enough times, they give you a free session, which I respect. That's always a lot of fun. So, yeah, check it out. Some virtual reality coming to the Hamilton area. And I think these things might get pretty popular because right now the systems that you buy at home are apparently really expensive. So, there we have it. My first topic out of the way. We're going to now move on to the news, and not really the news, but something that's been in the news a lot lately. Tide Pods. You probably heard the stories that there's been a Tide Pod challenge on YouTube where kids are actually eating those little pods of Tide that you use in, when you wash. And it's basically poison, and kids are actually trying this stuff, and I don't believe there's been any deaths yet, but there's been a lot of kids rushed to emergency and stuff because they're eating these pods. Now, there's been lots of different challenges like this, but it gets scary when the challenges are starting to be things where people can actually die from. And that's not necessarily what I'm talking about. Like, right now, I could easily just go into a rant about how stupid are people that they can't figure out that this is poison you're putting into your body. I don't know if they're holding it in their mouth. I don't think they're swallowing it or anything. I think they're just, But this is not what I'm going to talk about because, yeah, I could easily reprimand people because it is stupid. You can't tell me these kids don't know that these things are dangerous in any way, shape, or form. I actually want to talk about a different part of it, which is the part where I'm kind of surprised at the reaction of the world. The reaction of the world is actually kind of just as disturbing in some ways as what the kids are doing. Because I'm seeing a lot of memes and statuses and a lot of people sharing stuff about, first of all, how stupid these kids are. And then there's a lot of jokes made about, when we were kids, we had to eat Tide from the box and stuff like that. And just putting down these kids and, what is this world coming to and stuff like that. And yes, it blows my mind that people, they keep telling me that kids are smarter than we ever were. And then they're doing shit like this. To me, I can't stand by and say, yeah, they might be smarter in, technology and stuff but if you're talking, and we're not even talking little kids here, we're talking teenagers that are doing this, and yet, but again, my biggest problem too is that the adults seem to be making lots of jokes. I can't believe the amount of jokes I've seen on social media about it. To be honest with you, when I first heard about kids eating Tide Pods, I was actually a little saddened. I was saddened because I'm feeling that, my God, in this day and age, kids are rebelling by doing this. Because that's what this is. When they see somebody challenging them, that's all rebellion. And that's stuff that teens are supposed to do. But I'm also a little sad that, they just don't have any respect for their own lives, that they're willing to risk a chance to go to the emergency just to look cool on social media. And I think a big problem with this, and I have talked about this topic before because I keep mentioning this is going to be a problem down the way, and this is, I think, one of those things, and that is that we don't give kids a chance to rebel. Because we give them so much freedom, we try to be hip as parents and try to give them everything they want. And rebellion is a big part of being a teen. Now, when we were teens, when I was a teen, you'd rebel by, the first rebellion stuff would be like, standing up to your parents, saying no and stuff like that. And usually, well, when my generation, that didn't go over too well. And then you'd wear like clothes that would drive your parents crazy. And then you would, you'd listen to music or something that would drive them crazy, or your friends would show you movies that, secretly you were told you weren't allowed to see and stuff. These are rebellions. Then there's other rebellions like alcohol, drugs, sex, all the, the standard stuff. But we are eliminating a lot of that. And then there's like stuff too, like that goes along with the, the clothes, is like stuff like earrings and stuff like tattoos and stuff, stuff that, we used to rebel. But again, a lot of this stuff has been taken away from them. Kids now are choosing their own clothes at certain ages. Kids that know that they're different or just like want to, like, I would like to wear a dress. A lot of parents are very accepting of this, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's great that we're growing up in a generation where we have little kids that are painting their nails or identifying with a different gender because that's what they are. But this is something that used to be rebelling, and when we start giving over to everything, one or two things, that's fine. You're showing some independence. But when we start giving over to everything, the kids don't rebel in normal ways anymore. Now they get tougher. That's why suicide is on the rise. That's why, kids are doing stupid challenges to, like, get attention because now, I hear people saying, well, I don't mind if my kid drinks. He's only 14, but if he drinks at home and he brings some friends over, we'll all have drinks together because I'd rather have them drinking in my home than drinking, somewhere that I don't know where they're drinking. And I don't know. Again, you're taking rebellion out of it. Your kids are getting earrings. I see little boys already getting earrings, at young ages. I see girls getting their earrings or multiple piercings at young ages. I'm seeing, parents saying okay to belly button rings and tongue rings before they're legal age to do any of that. All stuff that's rebellion that they're now trying to find new ways to rebel and sadly going for stupid challenges like the Tod Pod. So, yeah, you can sit around and post things. Like a bakery in the States has actually made donuts that look like Tide Pods. Yeah, I know it's clever and everything, but this is a serious situation. People are always posting about mental illness and stuff like that, and there's got to be a certain degree of social or mental illness if your kid is putting something that blatantly is poison into their mouths to get some attention and see like, oh, this is going to be fun, when secretly they should be of age of knowing. Because as I said, this isn't little kids doing this. This is teens. But 15-year-olds are getting tattoos because their parents think, okay, well, they need to have their own voice. Yes, kids need to have their own voice, but they don't need to have everything. And some of these things they need to do in a rebellious way because that is a part of nature. And I'm telling you, some people forget that nature always wins out in the end. And if kids can't rebel the old-fashioned way with sex, and, like sex is even another thing. It's like, I've never seen such asexual people in teens. Basically they're a bundle of hormones. When we were kids, we were just like little pervs, and, we, control ourselves. We'd sneak off and, look at the Sears Dream book at the underwear pages or something, or find, our big brothers, porno mags or something like that. And we, masturbate in silence. Now it's like they teach masturbation in school, and like masturbation isn't even a rebellious thing anymore. They teach you, like, oh, don't have, sex, like, and when I talk to kids, it's almost like they're like, I remember, like, we were all little horn dogs and stuff, and it's nice we got a little bit of control. That's a good thing. And it's nice that we're, respecting bodies and, more importantly, other people's bodies. But at the same time, there has to be a little bit of naughtiness in the sex. But sex is now just so demeaning, and it's demeaning in a way like it's not demeaning. It's just like, oh, you should be making love, not sex. Sex is for, like, relationships, you should be having sex and having a good time, and it should be fun and dirty and stuff. But kids don't even talk about that anymore. They'd rather talk about video games. And because they're allowed to play video games and stuff, that's not really rebelling, So kids are throwing Tide Pods. What's next? They're going to be like jumping off buildings and no, they won't do that, because that requires going outside, and kids don't do that any often, because another part of, the world that we're trying to make better is like, well, at least when they play video games, they're in my home, and then I don't have to worry about them being out on the street and stuff. That's why there's a lot of excessive drinking when they get into their 20s, because they don't know how to be social. They didn't rebel, so they drink a lot thinking, oh, this is my way of rebelling, and they wind up getting alcohol poison. Rebellion is an important part of being a kid. And rebellion has to be more than just saying no. Rebellion is, like coming home with like a dirty album and putting it on, and your parents like, what are you doing now? It's like, oh, what a great, that's a great song. Listen to the swearing in it. I think it's great that you have found, a way to express yourself and stuff, as long as you know that the things they talk about in that album are stuff you shouldn't do and stuff. It's like, that's, here's a movie you shouldn't be watching because you're supposed to be 18 and over when you watch it. But let's watch it together, and, that's great, I know people that watch The Walking Dead with their, young kids. Again, you're taking a rebellious moment out of it. And, some rebellion is turned into creativity and art, but a lot of it isn't. And then you have these kids that don't know what they're doing, and they're doing these stupid challenges on YouTube because one person comes up with it, and it's almost like, yeah, let's see if they actually do it. And when they do it, how does society what? Check your social media. Put your Facebooks and your Twitters and your Instagrams on. They're making jokes about it. This, to me, is a serious, serious topic. And I don't think it's anything to be laughed at, because it is showing the anxieties and the mental unstableness that we are creating these kids because we're not letting them grow up to be rebellious and be their own selves, because we're promoting being their own selves to the point where they don't even know what their real selves is, because finding yourself, I think a lot has to do with being just independent a little bit. You may disagree with me, but I stayed on this. You need to rebel. I didn't rebel that much, so I found ways to rebel with, the movies I watched, the music, because I was very pampered. I was told, you can't go out, you can't do that. So I didn't drink a lot when I was a kid. I didn't have sex when I had a kid, and I regret all that, because that was a big part of it. But I grew up in a household that was like, you're gonna die. You put your dick in something, you're gonna get some social, and it scared me. And I don't want society to be like that. But you need to, yes, let them be their own selves. Let them be that. But let them, if you hear them playing music that you don't agree with, let them do it. But don't nag them for listening to it unless it's something really you're against. But don't sit there and promote it either. Let them have their rebellion. Even if you have no problems with it, let them have that rebellion, because they're getting kicks from driving you crazy. And if you just come in there like, we're friends, let's listen to this together, it doesn't always work that way. Let them have the rebellion. They don't have to know that you're not against it. But is that better than winding up having to call the emergency room to say you're coming in because your kid just put some detergent in their mouth? Anyhow, enough of that. Getting off my soapbox, and I can't believe I just made a pun at such a serious topic, but I did. We're going to take a short break. We're at the halfway point, and then we're going to take a look at some things. I'm going to talk about keeping secrets from the society and how it's hard to do now, but it still can be done. And then we're also going to talk about this new phase of there's a lot of books out there about not giving a fuck. And I recently even took a picture on my thing about me reading a book like that. I only picked it up and I liked the title of it. I never read these books, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on these books when I come back.
Suppose there's time?
Sure, there's still time to visit our famed snack bar, where we offer a wide variety of good things to eat and drink to top off your evening. Want a suggestion? How about enjoying a treat we're famous for? A refreshing cup of smooth, chocolatey good Jubilee hot chocolate. Such a comforting, special kind of drink, and a favorite with folks of all ages. Hot chocolate goes down real easy this time of night, makes you feel warm and altogether wonderful. Bet you've never tasted hot chocolate quite as good as we make it. Enjoy a cup tonight.
Welcome back. Hope you got yourself a beverage or a snack. Maybe you're multitasking right now while listening to me. I'm honored if you are. If you're doing your ironing or your laundry or just maybe you're going down your Facebook. I am multitasking right now too. I'm actually painting my nails. I don't know. I find it easy to talk to and that's why I don't put a cam on me, because nobody needs to see me painting my nails. Not that it's personal or anything. Could be doing worse stuff. We'll leave it at that. If you are looking through your Facebook, and you know you do it, most people check their Facebook a couple of hours a day, just to see what's going on in the world. And basically what I want to talk about now is it's shocking to me that people can still hide secrets. Not like stuff that you're trying to hide, like affairs or stuff like that. I'm talking about like big life-altering things, like maybe having a baby or maybe fighting a battle with something. Because when you go through Facebook now, basically all you see is everything going on in people's lives. Some people are, keep it close to the chest and don't do that. Other people's, you can see everything. I can tell when their kids got a hockey tournament. I can tell when, somebody's at a restaurant. I can tell when people are on vacation. I can tell when they're getting a tattoo, because they will post it on social media. Now, for some of us, it's kind of interesting. Sometimes I just go fast past it if I'm not interested in it. But basically what I'm trying to say is we live in a culture where I can literally bump into somebody on the street. And because of social media, even though I haven't talked to them in a couple of years, I can still say, oh, yeah, I saw that you went to, the Dominica the other day or a couple of weeks ago. And, yeah, I saw your kids are getting real big, stuff like that. And it's funny how many times you use social media to just catch up with people, and it's quite handy. And I don't put down social media. There's some bad with it, but there's a lot of good with it too, because life gets busy, and I try to stay close to the people that mean the most to me, but sometimes you can't stay close to everybody. So it's quite nice when they got a promotion and stuff. I usually like to send little congratulations and stuff like that. If I see an anniversary or something like that, or you can always put a like or a heart or something like that. But what I want to talk about is in the last month, I've actually had a couple situations where I'm actually surprised. Now, there are a lot of people that you see they're on social media, and you might see that they like stuff once in a blue moon, but they won't share anything about them. And then out of nowhere, they'll share the weirdest things. Like I have some friends that don't do any social media that much. they keep accepting friends, and I've even heard them tell me, well, keep posting on social media because I keep track of you that way. And I'm thinking, well, you don't post on social media, so it just doesn't seem right. But the thing that's even more weird is that sometimes they have a big secret that they don't reveal. Recently, a person who, maybe does social media, maybe makes social. I won't name names here, so don't start freaking out. But, if you're obviously friends with my friends, you might know who I'm talking about when I tell these stories. But recently, a person who, posts once in a blue moon, I see them liking stuff all the time. You probably won't see them for a week, and then they'll just catch up on. Suddenly you're like, why is that news story back in the thing? Oh, yeah, because somebody liked it. And a post that I did 2 Tuesdays ago is suddenly back up on the top of the thing. And then what happens is one day they post something personal, even though they're not known to do that. And in this case, a friend of mine posted a picture of a crib and baby stuff, revealing that him and his wife were about to have a child. And I knew that, about 5 years ago, they said that they were going to try to have a child, but you never heard anything. And as I said, this person plays it close to the vest, and then suddenly, bam, they share to the world this. Now, what makes it even more surprising is that, that people will still keep their secrets. I'm sure that they've known about this and told people, but I guess there are some nice people that don't use that as their status. Sometimes you wonder, oh, are they telling that? Should they be telling that, But, and after they revealed this, I would say about a week or two later, they had pictures of the baby up. So they made it all the way through the pregnancy. And it's fine. You don't have to post everything. I'm trying to be good with not posting everything. But I still have moments where I'm not in a good mood and everything in my body's telling me, stay away, do not update your status. And then I'm good at it and I'll stay away from the computer for a couple of days, and then suddenly I break and I have to put quotes from songs that make me sad, or a picture, I need to put a sad picture up, I need to put this, and I'll put a cryptic status that, people will care about me. And what usually happens is, sometimes a couple people care about you. Sometimes the people you want caring about you. But it's impressive that they can actually keep stuff away from people. Now, another situation is, again, I'm not going to mention names because it's not my place to say, but I want to talk about this because it blows me away. I've had 2 people that I know who were battling cancer. And they handled it 2 very different ways. And I respect both. But it makes you wonder how you would handle it. One is a friend of mine who is really close, and his wife contacted me and told me that he was fighting cancer. And then a couple of days later, he opened up a page and basically decided to share his personal journey with just a handful of people that he considered his friends and family, because he didn't want to just post it on social media, but he wanted to keep his friends in the loop. And I actually really appreciated this because, well, first, it feels nice that you're part of his close family. He's trusting you in this group. And 2, because, you care about the guy, so you want to know what's going on. And they never abused it. They used it, and it was very frank and honest and forward. And everybody kept his secret. Eventually, they did say something in the main chats, but it was when the therapy, the treatments and stuff were almost near the end. And I kind of respected this because it reminded me when my aunt, she had 2 bouts of breast cancer. The first one she successfully succeeded in, and she fought it. And when she was older, she went into having another bout. It came back, and she was probably in her 80s at that point. And they told her that they could probably still fight it. And she decided not to, because she was older and she remembered how hard the radiation treatments were on her. And she felt at 80, she's winding down her life anyhow. And My Aunt Doris, I will name her name because she's no longer with us, and I love my Aunt Doris, and I don't talk about her enough. Basically, what would happen is she decided that she just wanted medicine to keep away the pain, and she was okay with dealing with having a time limit in her life. And in that time limit, she met with family, she did things that she never got a chance to do, she was closer to people, and she eventually just passed away. But she didn't want the last years of her life to be just pain. She didn't want like the last, because there was no guarantee, and she remembered having a hard time with the radiation, and at 80 she just couldn't even imagine it. So I respected the hell out of her for that. Last week, a lovely lady that I had met a few times in my life, and then we kept close on social media, and we had talked a couple of times, and she would like things on my page and then send me little, when she was down, she'd send me little, pick me up little notes and stuff. And, when I saw she was down, which was very seldom, I'd send her little notes. So I just finished having a nice day with my friends, and suddenly I went on Facebook. I always check Facebook at the end of the day, and just before I was going to bed, all in a good mood and stuff, and there was a picture of this lady, and a gorgeous picture. Again, I won't name her name, but a gorgeous picture of her. She was totally bald, and she was hugging her grandchild, who was also bald, and just holding the child tight. Then I read her obituary on her Facebook that her family had wrote, but it almost felt like she had a hand in it as well, saying that this woman had been fighting cancer for the last several months, maybe even years, and she never let anyone on Facebook know. Probably her close family and friends, which, again, I totally respect. I don't believe Facebook has to be where you have to post everything, I think some people, like, I post a lot of cryptic things. I try to post a lot of positive things, and I think I succeed because of that. But some people just post everything, like, just, past my bowels. Let's put that in the status and stuff. But I didn't even know this lady was sick, and here she is, she's dead, and I'm not going to see her voice or see her picture smiling at me anymore when she liked something. And it blew me away that I didn't know she was fighting for her life. And in retrospect, I didn't need to know. Wasn't my business. It's not like I was a close friend. Like if it was a family member or somebody who's been telling me they're my best friend all my life and didn't tell me, yes, I would feel a little betrayed. But she was a lady that was an acquaintance that was also a friend. But it wasn't my place. But what I'm saying, it was a shocker because I didn't even know she was sick. It actually made me look back because I swore we just had communication through one of my statuses at the last little while. And I checked, and I did a Devlin's Love project where I said that if you liked this status, I would send you a little personal note that told you of something physical I liked about you and something more personal, like a trait or something of your persona. And she actually liked it about a month before she passed away. And I sent her a little note, and I told her I loved her smile. It was very infectious, and I liked her youth spirit from getting to know her. She loved doing things, and sorry, she's just very young-spirited. She was, probably not that much older than me, maybe in her 60s, and she loved, like science fiction and Star Trek and just stuff like that, and she loved living life to the fullest. And I loved her youthful spirit because we're losing that in a society, and we should cherish when we see older people that are young. I love that people tell me I'm young of spirit. So anyway, I sent her this, and she wrote back that, thank you for the lovely words. I really needed that. And yet, when you get an email saying I really needed that, you just think, oh, maybe they're having a couple of down days. You don't realize this woman was going through radiation and lost all her hair. And when I think about that might have been enough to pick her up that day or get her through another day to fight. It's just mind-blowing. And it's mind-blowing that you can still keep stuff like that away from the media. And it makes me wonder what I would do. Like, knock on wood, I hope I never have to deal with a disease or something like that. But I guess it's a moment that you make that decision. I'm sure her decision not to tell anyone except her family and friends was hers. Just like the man that I dealt with thought, I want to talk to my friends and family about it, but not everybody. I don't want to be just a social media thing where everybody's like feels sorry for you, or that. I want to make a community that's loving and caring and makes me laugh even. So I just felt I wanted to touch base on that kind of stuff, because it blows me away that we live in a time that we can still actually keep society at bay. Nachos, if you're wondering what I had for dinner. I don't post it enough on my social media. I don't see it as much, but every once in a while I still see people's dinners, I used to hate it, but I try to be nice about it now. Especially if it's like, I've made this, I don't cook very well, and it turned out pretty good. I'm actually proud of people when they do that. I remember when they first started posting their meals and stuff, I actually wanted to take a picture of me in the bathtub eating a bowl of zoodles and posting that and showing, hey, you want to share enough? But as I said, I'm getting older, so there could be worse things. I'd rather see what you had for dinner than when people post, like animals being tortured, and even though they're promoting they're being tortured, they're showing pictures that are disturbing. You can tell me animals are torture. I don't need to see that. So I'm sitting there looking at all these happy pictures of people's kids and people's vacations and stuff, and then suddenly I see like an elephant that's being tortured, So I'll take dinners any day over that. My final thing I want to talk to is this. The last couple of years, I've noticed that there's a lot of books coming out, like The Power to Say No and The Art of Not Giving a Fuck. As I said, I'm not sure for 100%, but I'm sure Cord is already digging up that picture to put up. I actually took a picture with it. I thought it was, I always like the title of it. And I was by a Christmas tree, and I just thought it was a funny picture of me reading this book next to the Christmas tree at a bookstore. And I never read the book, let's be perfectly honest. And I don't think I ever would read a book about that. But there's been a rash of it. It's just everybody's saying, it's your time. You have the right to say no. You have the right to say this. Now, I have not read the book, so I'm not necessarily putting them down. But, I know more and more people are using these books as ways of changing their life and saying, oh, spiritually, it's been much better that I can say no to people now, or I don't give a fuck about people. But I actually think that we need to start thinking more about other people in this society. We claim to, but our version of caring about people is just finding a nice meme and putting it up on our website. And okay, there, I dealt with starving people. Now I can go on with my life. Instead of actually, maybe donating money or trying to find organizations that you can help to and stuff. I think we need some books like The Art of Giving a Fuck, because I think we're becoming so, as a society, we're becoming so cold that I think we need to help people. I think we need to reach out to people. And so even though, this new movement about the power of saying no, and as I get older, I'm saying no to a lot of stuff too. But I'm also weighing the options a little more and saying, no, this is something I should be saying yes to. You know, even though it might not be something I would want to do, I think this is important that I do this. You know, a friend of mine was having a bon voyage party, and he was leaving, and it was Josh Obermeyer. You guys, he's a regular thing, and we talked about him leaving on the show, so I don't think it's a big deal. And he had a party to say goodbye, and I knew it was going to kill me inside because I was having a hard time with dealing with Josh leaving. And I decided that I weighed the options. And I decided that I could use the power of no, or the art of not giving a fuck, and just using it as an excuse like, well, Josh, you know this is going to hurt me deep inside, but I'm not going to come to your party. And I was ready to do that. I was getting ready, writing my little email to him. Then my mind told me, this is a situation where I don't want to go to this because I know it's going to be hard for me. Then I weighed the situation and said, but I think Josh would really want me there. This is how you guys get me on the stupid wedding stuff. And I hate that. But anyhow, I weighed my options and I said, I think it would mean a lot to Josh if I walked in the room, him knowing I didn't want to be there. And I decided I'm going to suck it up and I'm going to go because I felt that I needed to be there, even though I didn't want to. And I think there's a whole bunch of people that would have just said no, because I see that a lot, you know, people telling me, oh, I really got to, you know, I want to come to your show, I want to come to your performances, and then they gave me some lame excuses of that to me are just lame excuses, but, you know, thank you. Some excuses are good and real, but other ones, it's like, yeah, you need to work on your excuses. I showed up. Josh loved that I came. I told him how hard it was for me to come, and he said he knew, but he was extra especially happy that I had made the effort to do it. And this is what I said. This is how you guys get me on the damn weddings. You know my feelings of weddings. And I know, although I said my brother's wedding was going to be my last, I know there's going to be a couple coming up that people are going to use the same thing on me. And I hate it because the reason I hate it is because of the fact that I'm going to give a fuck. And at the end of the day, I'm going to say, yeah, I will come to the wedding, even though they know I don't want to be there, how hard it is for me to see it. And what happens is when I have something special I want, they actually use the art of not giving a fuck on me and saying, yeah, no, I'm not going to come to that. And that's what pisses me off. But I really think in the society, I think it's great that we're using the power of no and deciding what we want to do and what we do. But sometimes you have to suck it up and go to things that you don't want to. It's kind of like when somebody's in the hospital and you notice some people don't show up to visit you. And they use the excuse, well, I don't like hospitals. Too fucking bad. Do you think the person that is in the hospital wants to be there? Do you think that they wouldn't rather meet you on a beach somewhere and have a couple of drinks? You suck it up and you go see that person in the hospital. You make time because you don't know how long they're going to be in that hospital. You make time because that person is in a place that they're scared and they're frightened. And they only have a couple of hours to actually have visitors. So you fucking find ways to like cancel stuff or rearrange stuff in your busy life and you get down to see those people. You don't use the art of giving a fuck on them and saying, no, well, I hate hospitals. That's why I didn't come to see you. Well, guess what? You probably hate funerals, but guess what? If you don't see that person in the hospital, how do you know you're not going to a funeral a week later and you didn't have a chance to talk to them? Give them a moment of your time. And I think we need more books to say that. Sometimes we need to think about other people. These books that I have talked to people that have read them are basically about how keeping your sense of your mind, keeping your influence, and just by, worrying about your well-being. And your well-being is important. Do not get me wrong. It totally is. But you need to think of other people. When people don't start thinking about you and you wonder why, maybe you should take a chance and say, well, why don't you? Yes, in most cases, you'll think of other people, and when you need them, they won't be there. But that doesn't mean you should stop doing it. I am the fool. I am the fool that does this all the time. I am always there for people, and then a lot of times when I need them, they say they'll be there for me. They never are. Why? It's because it's the art of not giving a fuck. We live in a selfish society, and we need to learn how to be a little bit more selfless. No, we don't have to say yes to everything. But there are times that I think we have to realize, yeah, we should be there. That's all I'm saying, is that we need more books to not learn how to be selfish. We need more books to be selfless, because we are living in a world that just doesn't care. And as we get closer to losing more of our communication, losing more of our social skills, we need to hold on to that. As long as I'm alive, I'm going to try to keep on to that and deal with that the best I can. Anyhow, so if you want to read those books, by all means, I'm not stopping you from it. But let me know if you've read the books and if you think that they say what I'm saying. Because I don't know, a book that just says the art of not giving a fuck, to me says, sometimes we just got to be selfish. But if we're selfish too many times, and I think people take it that way, what you read in a book, people take it to the point like, oh yeah, I can say no anytime I want. Yes, you can. But should you? Anyhow, if you got through this whole podcast, I thank you, because that means you gave a fuck. And that means that you spent time with me. And that, to me, means so much. I continue bringing these shows, hoping to have some guests coming up this year. It always takes me a bit to try to coax people to come here. Usually when I ask them, they're pretty good about it, or we'll make arrangements to get them here. But sometimes I go through a phase where I'm just scared to ask people to come, and I'm kind of going through that phase. But I'm going to try to get a guest here very soon, either in the next episode or the episode after. And lots of other great stuff to talk about. It didn't talk about any pop culture. I'll be definitely doing that, as always. And anyhow, I hope you have a great day. And thank you again for spending some time with me. And I'll talk to you really, really soon.